ai da.
Come out and play.
Tomorrow's the last of my days.
Vô.
Pathetic.
Feel the sun's glory.
Mình mới được búp à.
For eons.
Không có cái găng rồi luôn. nước trách.
Every second matters.
the lamp. Coming through.
My house, mine.
Nhìn đến đái đi. Nhìn đúng đá thì cái chết. Nơi nó sâu quá phải. Hai mạng à? Một round nữa đi. Chốt. Hai máu à. Immortal.
This was our world first. I go where my research takes me. By force of will, the time for talk is over.
hơi đen. Đây rồi. Level 7 cột cây không để ý rồi, tiên phong rồi đánh đáy. Để tiền giờ cái đi 2
One jump ahead of you.
bạn đã xếp một kênh
Out of my way.
thường đi à. Thường bắn đi nhau rồi như thế đi bắn cũng lâu lắm. Gặp đây đi gặp mấy cú phi vậy. Mà không thứ vậy. Một cây thật một cây. Thành vừa muốn mấy con đi rồi hư mình cũng mạnh rồi á.
All in. Just
Tính
my
đồ
style.
con cái đồ bê là bê nhá. suy nghĩ rồi. Cuộc thân quan trọng hơn đó. Nói rồi. Cái này gì à? Để đỡ.
I'm ready.
Không, đá. Lại bú rồi. Lại một phi thai ảo thiệt đấy. Các bạn muốn bài một. Một cái bút một.
Here we go! The time for talk is over.
Let's head back, amigos. It's break time.
As good a time as any to act reckless.
Ngon rồi. Gì vậy? Thích xanh. tiền gì có cái ma trận mà đọc của mặt nha. Gì cứ chặt chết trời. Quay rồi để con bạn ra quả bạn. Cháy trời, gì chặt kinh gì hết chứ. Biển chất trung không cắt.
Let's head back, amigos. It's break time. Look out!
The time for talk is over.
Bủ anh em ơi, bủ anh em ơi, mai thua anh em nhớ. Bủ bủ bủ, tốt một, mai thua ok chưa? Đấy, mày đi, không thể nào mà đánh người ạ. Tôi nghĩ thì muốn không ôm luôn á. Bạn tự nhiên khoái thiệt. Mua nó chịu cho một tẹo. Vô xét, bỏ xét chạy đi. Đó gì đây? Trang bị thành phần chiến nghị. Con này nó mạnh quá, nó bắn cái cháy rồi nên mà không cần phải xem đồ xếp bài gì đâu. Giờ coi được bán tướng lô gì đồ nó nó không đạo, nó đạo qua đó rồi cái mạng luôn.
Not quit until it's right.
Thêm tăng anh em nhé. Cứ tăng mà đóng nữa. 60 điểm. Seven Lim đánh chứ nhỉ? Để tắt cái phụ đề đi cái. Mới tí nữa.
Offering a repetition, but there's just no way
Không biết nó bị đánh
that
bằng quyền
Jules
không?
will put
Đánh
his
bằng quyền
queen
đi
back.
ngủ luôn.
A draw
Sắp
is
càng
just
ngủ luôn.
not good enough for white here.
Absolutely. Lakwang Liam, having won the first game in this match, has the draw odds in this game, and Jules will have to continue. Even though he's below on time, already less than 3 minutes on the clock, he needs to find ways to keep the game going. He puts his rook on the d file, guarding his knight.
So Jules is making his intentions clear that I'm playing for the win in this one because I just about need to. It's the only way to keep my chances alive. Rook attacked now. I see only 2 squares for it. Anna, you could move forward or back, but you do lose control of the b2 pawn, regardless of your decision. Is Jules about to lose that b2 pawn no matter where he moves the rook?
It does seem to be the case with the double rooks of black here, ready to capture on b2. So what can Jules do in this situation?
I just think he panicked absolutely with that last move. And this is also panic by Jules Moussad.
B4! B4! So the rook is hanging, but he says instead, I'm gonna attack your queen, but this is giving up a pawn.
For essentially nothing in the position. White hasn't gained anything. The rook is still under attack. Black's queen was hanging, so you couldn't pick up the rook just yet. But this is Liam, up a pawn, needing only a draw. The c-pawn, an absolute monster, ready to march up the board as well. He shifts his focus to the central e-pawn right now.
It's crazy how the evaluation bar is still about level, even though black has won that pawn on the queen side. Goes to show how complex this position is.
But my guess is it's not easy to keep that level for too long. There's probably a computer line or a path that gives white just enough counterplay, and I would have to guess that that would be on the king side, on the right flank, to try to create some chances there. I generally don't see it, Anna. If I'm white here, I'm already getting the feeling that I'm just trying to delay the inevitable. And look at that move, f3, and immediately we see the bar going down, just showing how difficult it is to find that path to equality here.
Yeah, this is going to be really tough. And Jules down to his final minute and a half. There is no increment. This is all the time left for the French Grandmaster. He's in a must-win situation. Low on time, down a pawn. How is he gonna find some miracle? He needs a miracle to somehow turn the tables in this match.
And I generally feel that this is such a big moment for Liam to make it to the Esports World Cup. If he's able to get that job done, well, right now, Jules Moussad just moved the bishop back and... Sorry, Liam moved the bishop back and Jules lines up the queen against the c-pawn. It's still a great position for Liam. But Anna, you know, Liam has been so vocal about how broken he's been about the Webster University chess program now coming to a close, and what a legacy that was for Liam. I think
it's definitely what he needs, and he still hasn't been signed by any of the esports teams, so it would be a huge contract for him, a huge opportunity in his career. If he qualifies to the Esports World Cup, there will be a lot of clubs trying to get his attention and sign him.
Is this the moment? Is this the moment for Lakwang Liam to trade the queens off? There is a potential threat on d6 and h6, and he does it. He gives a check, forcing the queens off the board right now.
Will he take on c3 or is he going to go for something else? It's up a pawn for black, but white has really active pieces and the d6 pawn is hanging. He's pushing that pawn before it gets captured. d5, what a great moment to capitalize on the idea that the f5 knight is depending on this e4 pawn.
Fantastic play. Just absolutely precise. And I think this was the exact moment that Liam could get that d5 break in, essentially saying, I'm putting all the pressure, but I've solved the problem of my weak d pawn now. Not giving Jules the opportunity to attack it anymore. That pawn's off the board. e4 is hanging as well. And right now, Liam is up 2 pawns in the position.
2 pawns up, also big time advantage, a minute extra on the clock for Liam. Huge chance. All he needs is a draw. Essentially, he has won the first game in this match. He's halfway through to that qualification spot, but it's not over until it's over. We have seen players celebrating too early. The game is still on.
You never celebrate too early, but I have to say that right now, needing only a draw, he's being very professional. He's not thinking about just getting that win in. He's trying to just liquidate the position to as much as possible. For Jules Moussad, the best chance is to keep both the rooks alive, and that's exactly what Liam does not allow. Anna, I don't think this is too early to celebrate now for Liam. He's up on the clock by almost a minute. He's up a pawn in the position. Where are the miracles here for Jules?
It will have to be a mouse slip at this point, because having only 34 seconds left in a rook end game where you're defending, it's a rook end game that you can hold, but holding is not enough. Jules Moussad has lost the first game in this match and is about to go down overall and lose his chance to qualify to the Esports World Cup.
Gives a check, gives a check. And look at that, the black king moves forward, and now the king is going to start assisting that d pawn. If you're Liam, you just keep marching up the board right now. He does come in for the attack.
It's already winning on the board as well. He just promotes and then grabs the rest of the pawns on the king's side. What a play, offering a rook trade now, and it's a king and pawn game that's winning for Lac Quang Liam. 2-0 in this match, and Lac Quang Liam, the #1 player of Vietnam, qualifies to the esports.
Browser-based games are dead. Watch this.
Now securing his spot. What a match this has been, and heartbreak for Jules Moussad.
Absolutely fantastic, and I think the moment does belong to Grandmaster Liam. For Jules, he just never got going in game 1 as well, you know, always on the defense, had those chances at the end, but it wasn't enough, playing just on seconds. Liam capitalizing on that as well, and then the second game, complete control here with the black pieces. Liam books his ticket to the Esports World Cup, and that means you've got 3 qualifiers out of the 4.
3 already, and we see the Vietnamese Grandmaster packing his gear. He has his own mouse, of course, and Jules is still reviewing the game. You know, he's still in the game. He's trying to see where he missed his chances, because, of course, for him, this was a huge moment, too. He was so close to making it to the Esports World Cup. So close, yet he couldn't.
And this is what I love about the double elimination bracket. You know, it has an inbuilt comeback story arc to it, and that's what we saw from Liam right now. For Jules Moussad, it's also about just accepting the reality of everything that has just happened, and he is definitely checking what went wrong, where he could have tried, but it's too little, too late.
Too little, too late. I'm sure that he will try again next year, but for now, for the French Grandmaster, this is it. There is no longer a chance to qualify to the Esports.
Ván đầu này, đi ván đầu này. Từ từ. Ván đầu. C4. Này ra cấu trúc này gọi là cấu trúc Catalan nha. Cấu trúc Catalan bình thường, nếu mà đánh bình thường thì như này cũng ra được. Đây. Mã F3, D5, G3, tượng E7, tượng G2. Nhập thành ra cấu trúc. Cái này gọi là Catalan. Rồi C2 cái này bình thường nha, không có chi hết. Rồi mở BD7 mã chuyển mã tượng ở đây, tượng A6 tượng B7 ở đây cũng có tượng B7 là C8 xuống lại C5 có chút này đánh dạy. Ở đây hình như nếu mà đi tượng B7 lung thì như nó người ta đi mã E5 thôi. Lưu lại mã BD7 B3 trắng Linh muốn đứng ở tượng B2 này rồi ra C1. Hai tượng này chỉ như này có chút tốt, bởi vì tí nữa khả năng bên đen muốn đột phá ở đây, bên đen sẽ đẩy qua C5 thì cũng tượng nằm ở B2 sẽ mở ra cái đường chéo A1H8. Rồi C5 ăn qua đổi E3 đây lý thuyết thôi, đi chuẩn bị á mà D4 này mã E5 rồi phát triển mã. Ở đây hai con mã giao chân nhau đi là kiểu gì sẽ có con mã sau cũng sẽ là con mã yếu, bởi vì hai con mã này nó đứng chung với nhau á, nó giữ ô với nhau rồi, nên là đây đi mã D4 để đưa con mã này lên F3, còn một mã đứng ở trung tâm. Ở đây không đẩy E5 được, nó sẽ bị mất cái ô F5 này, nên là Linh đưa lên đây. Bên đen cũng biết vậy nên là bên đen lên mã E5 để đổ vào F3 này. Rồi về tượng ở đây, tượng về đây Sugana tượng ở đây, về đây cũng bị mất cái chỗ này này, mất cái yếu, con tốt này bị yếu này. Tôi nghĩ là nên ăn luôn á, tôi nghĩ là ăn luôn là được hơn á. Ở đây như khả năng chưa ăn được, đi đây còn không sợ nước này, nhưng tôi nghĩ là ăn luôn được mà. Rồi ồ mà đây sai á, ăn trước lại đây ở đây ăn trước đi xong lên đây bắt tượng này. Nếu ăn đây ăn lên như này thì sẽ ra 4 tốt này bị lẻ này á, bị yếu này. Còn ở đây đi mã F5 trước thì người ta không có bắt buộc phải ăn cái này á. Ồ lại đi đây nhỉ, rồi ăn mã ăn tượng ăn lên mã xuống đây bắt thì sao, mất tốt à. Ồ ăn mã ăn tượng à. Ở đây có đòn gì không anh em, hay là đây ăn con này, hay là gì đấy, vì đây cũng được nè đúng không. Ví dụ về đây ăn đây xong xuống đây ghi cái này, con này vẫn yếu mà. Này blick thôi, cái này do cũng ít giờ nên là đoạn này chắc cũng mất nhiều giờ rồi. Đây đoạn này mặc dù là bên xe hậu số tốt đến xe hậu số tốt, nhưng mà ở đây con hậu trắng với xe đen tích cực hơn để chiếm được cột này, nên cờ này trắng nhỉnh hơn xíu, nhưng mà thắng được cờ này cũng hơi khó. Đó thì hình chiếu hòa ở đây Liên muốn thắng cầm trắng nên là vẫn muốn thắng hơn, tấn công con H5 này. H5 này ở đây Liên H4 H5 H6 để tạo điểm yếu về cái vua, thì đang đi lên H5 để ngăn cản khả năng H5 H6. Thì con này đẩy lên, ba con này đứng như này là đẹp nhất, con nào đẩy lên sẽ thành tốt mục tiêu để cho bên còn lại tấn công. Nên là đây H5 thì ở đây thành điểm yếu, khả năng tí G4 H5 như này này là bị văng ra liền. Đó, chấp nhận bọn tốt này để đẩy. Ở đây nhiều điểm yếu quá rồi, nó cũng hòa thôi nhờ. Ở đây chạy xa về với ta. Lên mua F7 à. Cờ này bị tốt không xa rồi, khó rồi. Lại có vấn 2 này. Ván này liên hồng đen, cái này gọi là Tây Ban Nha. Tự lên tấn công một mã. Ở đây tự nên tiêu diệt mã để ăn đây, nhưng mà thường là không có ăn được. Ví dụ lên đây bắt, ăn lây, ăn tốt lây, mã lây. Thì hậu nên bắt này lại thì sẽ không có ăn được. Thì sẽ không ăn được. Rồi, thường thì lên đây bắt thì chạy về đây. Cái này thôi. B5 thì từ B3 xong C3 D4 hoặc là C3 D3 rồi mã D2, rồi chúng sẽ tìm cách đẩy lên D4 không. Rồi C3 này, D3 này, giống nãy nói này, đi H4 đi H3 để giữ cái ô G4 này, không cho tự người ta phát triển đổ vận mã mình nha. Rồi có thể chỉ lên G3, tự C2 giữ cái này, đẩy D4 hồng mở cái đường chéo ra đi. Này vẫn là lý thuyết này, vẫn là lý thuyết hay cục á, chưa có gì mới mẻ. Rồi hậu D2 phát triển hậu để ra xa, đổi đây. Bây giờ bên đen sau khi đổi hết thì bên đen yếu của D6 nên gọi là tốt lạc hậu, không có tiến lên được. Ủa mà đây được ta. Đẩy lên ăn con mã này có chút tổn yếu, ông lên hậu. Cờ này bên trắng khả năng là chỉ đè D6 rồi, chứ cái mục tiêu này cũng chưa rõ ràng đó, mà là nhảy vào F5 này. Điểm yếu cân bằng. Con này nó lại mở đổi cái vị trí này thì cái con anh Liên có con D6 yếu thì bên này cũng có con B2 yếu là như nhau. Rồi B4 Túng có làm liều. Đổi hậu, cờ này Linh chỉ cần một quán hòa thôi nên là đang không tốt thì cái đổ quân thôi. Ông này ổng thua, kiểu cờ này hòa là ổng cũng bị không được cái gì á, nên là ổng muốn thắng hơn, nên là muốn đánh như này hơn thì thua rồi. Rồi Sibenko, ôi nhìn cho trắng thắng luôn rồi, vãi thiệt. Chứ mình chui lại một cõi bán của ông nó thử. Coi bắt nào nhờ. Sibenko đang đánh này, có một nước 2 chấm than thí mã rồi, coi lại rồi phát triển quân. Rồi phát triển quân có chút mà phát triển bình thường thôi. A6 đây, bên đen chậm nước D6 bởi vì D6 hay bị cái tình trạng tượng G5 này ghim cái con mã này khó chịu này, nên là không, bên trắng ở bên đen không muốn gì rứa. A6 A4 ngăn cản B5 nha. Rồi người ta cũng phải đi H6 này, đi H6 để giữ ô G5, H3 tương tự giữ ô G4 đổi tượng. Ở đây mặc dù đổi tượng tạo ra tốt yếu, nhưng mà tốt ở trung tâm của bên trắng nhiều hơn. Chưa kể là có cái cột ép này, cột ép này sau này tấn công lên con F7, áp lực lên con mã này, có cột ở trong xe nữa. Rồi ăn mã E4 lên đổi hậu, chạy hậu, rồi không có gì giờ. hậu về B6 tấn công con E3. Đây xe giữ. Nước này lên mã đây hình như có vấn đề nên đi học C4 nhỉ. Học C4 thiệt. A5 giữ con mã. Ở đây có cái gì đó không đúng. Con này sao giữ? Ví dụ ra xe đây bắt cái con F7 sao giữ ta? Qua đổi hậu. Ủa? Ví dụ mà ăn đây luôn thì tôi chưa được nhỉ. Mã F6. Ui. Hay á. Mã F6. Tấn công vua. Gần như là bí hít đỡ luôn. Hay nha, bắn này hay, đúng mà F6 thì căng đấy. Nhớ cao đúng mà F6 rồi đó. Ui. Cái ông Benko đi, ông đi đánh hơi bị hay luôn á. Khả năng là vé có một vé của ảnh rồi đó. Khó mà trượt đi lắm. Ngọc coi bắn hai nhờ. Rồi, cái cục. Rồi, nhập thành tượng D3. Bây giờ sẽ tìm cách phát triển tương tự này. Mã E5 đánh đổi, mã E5, mã E5 tốt lên thì chưa được nhỉ, có là có giữ. Mã C5. Nó chắc chạy tượng nhờ. Chẳng phải giữ là ưu thế hai tượng đi á. Ồ, ăn luôn à. Chạy hậu à. Giờ nếu mà đi hậu F4 thì chắc là đi tượng D6 rồi. Ồ, vừa nói xong ông đừng đi hậu F4 luôn, nó dở luôn, vãi thiệt. Đó, tượng D6 với ông. Khả năng là tượng D6 rồi. Đổi hậu à. Đổi hậu. Nơi tượng D6, hậu A4 thì hậu H4, mã H4 thì đây bên đeo có hai tượng khỏe vãi. Đúng không? Cái gì nữa? Ví dụ lên đây bắt xe. Díu chạy về đây. Nhốt mã này nè. Rồi lên đây bắt xe, qua xe đổi thì ăn luôn. Cái này lên nó bị nhốt mã lại này. Còn được hỏi F4 à. Khả năng là phải ăn á. Khả năng là lên tượng D6 chứ cũng không có sự lựa chọn á. Ví dụ người ta đang đe dọa tượng H7 mà. Cái này đi lên đây để ép bên trắng thì tượng D6 á. Gần như là ép buộc. Không có sự lựa chọn luôn. Kiểu tôi bị ngu tôi cũng thấy được á. Cái này trong quán người ta đánh nó tới này. Tượng D6 rồi, kiểu tôi bị ngu tôi cũng biết được á. Ông ấy tự lấy búa gõ cho chân à. Chôn rồi. Nani? Cái gì đó bố? Không, thực ra là nếu mà đánh như đứa cấu trúc miễn đấu xứng nhau á này. Đây 4 con, đây 3 con. Cấu trúc hai bên đấu xứng nhau, mà bên này cũng có ưu thế hai tượng nữa. Kiểu làm liều á. Kiểu này là làm liều á. Do hòa. Bên đây hòa là bên đen đi tiếp mà kiểu ông này làm liều á, không còn cách nào khác á. Kiểu đánh để cho ông bên cô đi ổng sốc nước ổng thua thôi, nhưng mà thường là không sốc đâu. Anh này có vợ rồi à? Cái nhẫn cái đeo là có vợ rồi đúng không? Có vợ chưa này? Như đây là có vợ chưa? Cái anh có cái nhẫn như đây là có vợ chưa? Ok nhá. Ủa? Tôi lại nghịch nữa rồi. Nghịch ngố. Đây. Không đủ lực lượng anh em ơi. Nhìn thì nguy hiểm như đi thôi chứ nó không có đủ lực lượng á. Nó không đủ lực lượng để đánh tiếp cờ này á. Diễn bị ngố á. Thằng kiểu bị ngố. Con Hạo với Mã à, hai sang nữa lên được đâu. Người ta đại kiện tướng chứ không phải gà như mình đâu mà thủ. Mình thủ ngơ còn thua chứ người ta thủ vậy chứ mình thua được. Này Hạo F6. Đấy. Giờ mà cho đi tiếp đổ được Hạo F4 là quyết game luôn. Vấn đề còn lại chỉ là kỹ thuật thôi em. Ồ mà nói ông động người hết giờ đâu. Căng nha. Không như một cỡ đánh đoạn sau đánh Blitz mà người ta hình như được đi trước một nước thôi sao á. Không được đi trước nhiều đâu. Chiêu rồi, bọn này chiêu rồi. Siêu. Đoạn này kỹ thuật hơn em ơi. Chiêu đợi vấn sau nhỉ. Xem cái này có bị mất quyền không nhỉ? Thắc mắc nãy giờ. Xem có bị mất quyền không? Ăn với em. Rồi. Không có khứ muốn dở hơn á, không có khứ muốn dở hơn á. Đã đánh hơi bị hay đấy. Đã thắng. Ôi, thi đấu nè. Ủa? Ồ, ván này hay nè mừng. Chọn quán cát thì hơi bị hay đấy. Mấy giờ đánh nhỉ? Cái ván này nha, ông nào mà anh Liêu hoặc là cái ông Benko nhưng mà một trong hai người đi thắng á, là khả năng là sẽ đấm với ông Sarana một lần nữa anh em ơi. Ông Sarana đi thắng Liêm Lệ ở đoạn cái cháy bất ngờ, ban chấp giờ đánh là khả năng là khó. Mở tiếng đừng coi người ta nói gì.
Just a few, don't go anywhere.
Ôi, anime rồi. Lại là anime nữa rồi.
Picture impossible. Lenovo Legion.
Giờ làm gì đi anh em nhỉ? Làm món cờ nhờ. Làm món cờ đợi nhờ. Tặng 7 phút luôn mà. Đi đây à. Lên đây giữ không cho nó đẩy mình đi anh em ơi. Rồi đi đây gã lại. Ủa quay hai bị giật mình như thế này nha. A4 rồi đi B4 F3 đẩy này bắt một cái chui vào E3 tôi nó đẩy đây mình chạy về lại thôi. Nó vẫn sẽ đẩy vào lô này được không? Giờ mình đã vào đây đối tượng giờ xong đè vào. Mình chỉ cần đè con E2 này thôi là được. Ồ mình ăn đây mình ra đây ra đây. Ồ đớp ra đi bắt mình giữ cái này lên đây là mình là về đây được nên là quá xe nhiều. Ồ ăn này sao đấu sang sai một này biết ăn lên bắt đây nhiều. Đây về đây lên đây mình lên ở đây bắt chảo quên nhỉ. Em hồi nãy mình anh đi đây chưa được nữa. Rồi ăn rồi bắt này biểu này ăn thôi ra muốn xuống đây bắt chuẩn bị đó, đe dọa bên này bắt xe, để vui giữ lại thì qua đây. Về đây đi, về đây giữ con này đi, rồi mình mở tàu con này bắt con này, mày ở đây đi, nó không mã giữ hết rồi, sẽ lập gì mở đường bắt đồ á. Mã này khó chịu nhờ. Về đây chuyện gì cả. Ê giờ đâu ăn ngủ rồi. Mai cạn dở này mà. Keo đi. Thôi chờ xíu vô anh em ơi.
And we are back with all the action from DreamHack Atlanta. We've had fantastic chess so far, and joining me for our next battle of the elimination bracket semi-finals matchup between Andrei Yasipenko and Lei Kwang Liam is none other than our very own Grandmaster Arthurs Nixons. Arthurs, it's been so much fun. We've got our top four players who are making it to the Esports World Cup, but there's still plenty left to play for.
Hey Tanya, and of course, welcome back, dear viewers. I missed you. I didn't really go anywhere because I was having my lunch and I was still following your commentary and the action. So it was super exciting to follow it as a viewer. And you're right, yes. So all the spots for the Esports World Cup there are determined. We already know who they are, but it means that there's still more fights coming because we need to figure out who is gonna win this amazing event, DreamHack Atlanta, and there's more matches coming.
Absolutely. And I have to say, once you've done all the hard job and you know that you booked your ticket already to the Esports World Cup, now you want more. Just human nature, right, Arthurs? We all get greedier as we go on. Now you want the big chunk of the $50,000 prize fund.
Absolutely. I think it's also a matter of principle. So you have secured a spot in the Esports World Cup. Great. Okay. Fantastic. They're very happy. And now you can show you what you are really capable of when there's no stress, because we have to remember there's a pretty large purse for the players to fight out. The total prize fund of the qualifier is $50,000 combined, and the winner is going to walk away with $15,000. So it does matter a lot.
And of course, principle, like you said, pride and glory as well of winning the DreamHack Atlanta, the gateway to the Esports World Cup. And that puts you in very good spirits for the big fight later on in the year. And artist coming up next, we've got a big match against Andrei Yasipenko taking on Lei Kwang Liam. And I want to dive a little bit into that, talk a bit about that with you right now. What do you see as the two players, their strengths and the path that they've had so far in the esports qualifiers?
Yeah, so both of them, they have lost one match. They are coming back after losing this. And once again, the viewers, in case you just joined it, it's a double elimination bracket. So this means you lose once, you still have a chance to climb back. Both players just did that, and they managed still to qualify for the esports. Now, as you can see, the players are getting ready for the matches. They're pretty relaxed, and that's also quite an amazing contrast, Tanya. We would compare, for example, the matchup between Arwind and Crest for you. They were very, very visibly nervous. There was a lot of body language shaking, etc. But Andrei Yasipenko and Limle, on the contrary, they were very much composed.
Absolutely. And these two players already have esport teams backing them. So making it to the World Cup is really what they wanted to do today. Now with the pressure off, they're definitely looking a lot more relaxed. I think for Andrei Yasipenko, his match against Christopher Yu, he did it in dominating fashion. And I want to say the same for Lei Kwang Liam as well after getting a loss and then moving on ahead. These two, they are extremely powerful, strong names when it comes to speed chess. Very fast speed players there, perfect control over the mouse. And for me, I have to say it's hard to pick a favorite in this one.
Yeah, it's really hard because, both of the players are participants of the 2700 ELO club. Maybe actually Yasipenko has slightly dropped out of it, but he's been always there. He is. Recently, he just participated in the FIDE Candidates Tournament, which is the cycle to challenge the world champion, the Mirage Gukesh. Lim Lei, he was the head coach of the Webster University. I think this is what you already mentioned with Anna, but unfortunately this program university shut down just recently. But maybe this is also a very good opportunity for the Vietnamese Grandmaster to focus more on playing, and by the looks of it, he's doing pretty great. I mean, he's about to play the Esports World Cup.
All the reasons to be happy right now for these two players. But I look at them and I have a feeling that at least as far as the arena is concerned of DreamHack Atlanta right now, I wonder if Andrei Yasipenko, I know that he's a bit of a gamer as well. I'm not just talking about chess. I think he feels more at home under the spotlight, also having played in the Esports World Cup in 2025. The games are underway right now, and what we have is a Catalan opening with the bishop on the long diagonal. Black has an extra pawn currently, with a lot of pressure, and this is all so far theory authors.
Yeah, I mean, these are the wonders of the modern opening theory. Black collects the pawn, then he gives up 2 pawns in a row, and in the end, he claims some kind of equality. As you can see, both players are still within the book. I think that one of the main principal considerations for White was to take the pawn on a6, because right now he cannot take the pawn on c4 because Black's gonna take on b5 and the rook on e1 is undefended. Knight c3. Maybe I am mixing some lines, but White in the end ends up winning this pawn on c4, and Black says, well, according to an engine, I'm doing just fine.
And the speed with which the two players are blitzing out, I want to say almost bulleting out their moves right now. It feels like they know exactly what they're doing. I will point out, though, that it feels that Lei Kwang Liam is ahead in development. More pieces are active. The Black Knight still stuck on b8. Also, with a better pawn structure is Liam right now. The double c pawns, there's a target, direct threat on that c7 square right now with the white bishop and the knight landed up against it. Potential e4 later on in the air. To my eyes, authors, it feels like advantage Liam out of the opening. But is it enough?
And it also seems that Yasipenko was a bit surprised by this move, where he was trying to recall what was the opening theory, because, I mean, you can never really know for sure when the opponent is out of the prep. Maybe they try to recall stuff, and this is the one thing that really defines the best players in the world. They know so much, and what they very often try to do in a game is to recall whatever the line they analyzed, let's say 2 or 3 years ago in some sort of a training camp, or they have these amazing huge files with analysis with pretty much every single line written down, and then it comes down to the memory. Do you remember it or not? And we're looking right now about players, for example, yes, Pecos, but the language Tanya. What does it say to you? Is he still in the book? Is he trying to recall?
That's a great question, and I sure hope for Asipenko that he is still in book, because he just couldn't pick up that pawn which was traded right now. There were ideas of b3 using that pin along the c line. So instead, Yasipenko, he kind of had that recollecting face, you know, looking left and right and trying to just remember the details. And I think he found the right response. Instead, attacks the knight, forcing it to retreat, and then finally picks up the pawn with his own queen. And next, the black knight about to come into the game via c6 at the right time. Slight edge to white, because white's about to go up a bishop pair. But again, it just feels like it's closer to equality right now, Arthurs.
Yeah, I completely agree, Tanya. So white is eyeballing for the spot on c4, but this is one of the big themes of this line, that black very often even gives it up. And whatever was the plan for the Vietnamese Grandmaster, I think that it quite did not work. The pawn on c4 is still alive. Black is about to complete his development with knight a6, knight b4, and have a very solid position. But at least it's really great to see that both players are quite relaxed. And yeah, the games are slowly heating up.
And as always, if you're able to neutralize the white edge out of the opening as black in your game one, that's just a slight moral victory, right? Because you go into that final best of two with the white pieces. And I have to say, Andrei Yasipenko wasn't in too much trouble in this game so far. Knight c6, threatening the knight jumps to attack the queen. And now a big decision. Is this the moment that you create that first imbalance by trading the knight for the bishop? Or do you want to keep the tension, maybe try to chase that black queen away by sliding your bishop back? But overall, I see our bar says that Liam has the edge, but it still feels with b2 attacked, the development complete, Andrei Yasipenko should be fine.
I think he is definitely fine. And I think you're right, Tanya, that white has some choices here. So he does slide the bishop on e3, attacking the queen. And I have a feeling that he will take black's bishop on d5 at some point. And this is going to leave Yasipenko in a situation where he has to decide, how does he recapture on d5? The most natural response would be to take with a pawn, but then again, the pawn structure changes, and this is not a decision you want to take lightly. I think that he wants to take with the knight to be able to recapture white's bishop on e3, but this is going to cost him the pawn. So from a strategical standpoint, the Vietnamese Grandmaster's position is risk-free. He's asking some questions, but he doesn't really have a lot of time.
I love that point that you just made, that even if it's equal, it's more equal for white. White is still dictating the terms in the position, and knight takes bishop looks extremely tempting at this moment, leaving some questions. And to me, the fact that we've got our top 4 players punching their ticket to the Esports World Cup, you know, we're talking about that now they can play pressure-free because they can focus on just sort of playing their hearts out. But you think there will also be a question of how motivated they are at this point? You know, it's been a long day of chess for these players.
I mean, that's a very good question because, yeah, it seems that the mission has been accomplished. They are there. But there's a pretty big difference between prize money of, for example, the 4th place and the 1st place. That's about like $10,000 US. And of course, you are just professional. You're there to make something. And ultimately, they're going to focus on it and go for it. Rook b8, by the way, what I find it really puzzling, Tanya, is that Lim Lei included h3, a move before, not to rush with the capture on d5. The relation bar says that the position is equal, but I would say it's still quite complicated. And white is apparently still pushing.
I completely agree with you because there are some dynamics going on here. The bishop on d5 can be captured at any moment. There's really no good way to hide that bishop away, at least not yet. The rook under attacks, you could slide it over and he does it. He does line it up against the white queen, and again, always in the air. Is this the moment you capture the bishop? Or maybe play another waiting move. Speaking about motivation, you know, wow, did you just see that reaction that Asipenko just had? He put his hand in the air like he's slightly surprised with what's going on. Although to me, this last move looks absolutely normal.
Yeah, I didn't really notice it, but I'm just seeing is that he looks very comfortable. But to be honest, I mean, he looked like this also in the previous match. There's no stress, and it seems that he has some sort of very good mental balance entering this tournament. So having a psychological balance at such a high stakes tournament, of course, is very important. And I suppose this is also where his experience in esports definitely helps because he played there last year. He knows how it feels. He's a professional. And yeah, by the way, Queen A4 played by Limley. Apparently he
I want to
is...
point out, in the last moment, you could not have trapped that bishop at the center of the board by pushing the e-pawn forward to e4 because black had a nasty jump with knight b4 hitting the queen. But now that the queen is out of the way, you have to watch out for moves like e4 at the right moment, trapping that bishop. Big question for Andrei Yasipenko right now. Does he trade the queens? Or will he decide to keep the tension on the board? He attacks that b2 pawn instead. Yasipenko keeping the game going.
Yeah, and here the Vietnamese grandmaster is hunting down the black queen. So ultimately, do you keep retreating? Queen a7, go away, because you do need to watch out for this e4 break. And what I think that white is trying to accomplish here, he's looking for this perfect moment to take on d5. So if here Yasipenko wants to trade the queens, I don't think he's going to find a better moment, because after queen takes on b5 and knight takes on b5, white's e4 no longer is happening, but most likely Yasipenko is already like 3 moves ahead. He plays knight e4, and I think Tanya is gonna attack the pawn on b2 with bishop f6.
I love that idea. You're pointing out bishop f6. I'll point out another diagonal that's possible. Bishop c5, f2 is a tender spot as well. And suddenly it feels like black's pieces are jumping forward. At the right time, you might even be thinking about pushing the g-pawn, chasing down that white bishop on f4 by playing a g5. If I had to pick a color right now to play with others, I would take black in this position.
Ah, all right. Yeah, I mean, I could agree with that black indeed has made some progress. Like, this is really high-level stuff, because white, it seems that deliberately chose not to win the pawn on c4, because, like, if I'm not terribly mistaken, the pawn on c4 is dropping in some opening lines, and then black is still claiming the equality, and apparently Limley is toying with this idea to win the pawn on c4. But you're right, Tanya. I think that black has solved all the opening problems. Knight c3 doesn't attack the pawn on c4 anymore, and perhaps it's the black player who is here being a bit ambitious, even though probably it's most likely balanced.
Look at that juicy outpost on b3 that the black knight can land on immediately if you wanted to, with knight a5, knight b3 coming in right now as a potential plan. I also want to point out that c3 pawn, an idea that you mentioned earlier, Arthur, is putting that bishop on f6 becomes a tender spot as well. I feel like the position is shifting gears right now. It's sort of turning around to be slightly more pleasant for black in this endgame.
It could be. I think that everything will be decided in the next couple of moves. A pretty big decision for black to make. And also we have to pay attention to the situation that he's down at the clock. He's only having 4 minutes left. And the viewers, in case you just joined, this is a 10-minute blitz game, or is it technically a rapid game? A rapid blitz game, doesn't really matter. But there's no increment. And this is the new official esports time control for chess. You can't afford to think for too much, because in the end, you might just flag. And this is the thing we already saw happening today.
Well, it's definitely gone into blitz territory now, and before we know it, we might even be in bullet territory with no increment on the clock and still so many minors on the board, and the plan that we were discussing now arriving. Some questions for Lei Kwang Liam to answer. How does he want to counter the threat of knight jumping to b3, dislodging that white rook, and then the black bishop coming after that c3 pawn?
I mean, you called it, Tanya. This knight b3 move, you mentioned that black has this b3 square. This is exactly what Yasipenko is trying to do. And this prompts white to defend it. Knight d2 looks a bit passive move. Knight b3, and of course, white is not interested to take on b3, because this would create black this very strong pass pawn on b3. Now, white is quite passive. He's trying to hold on.
He is, and that's quite a bit of a turnaround for Lei Kwang Liam, who was on the push. At least that's what it seemed right out of the opening there. He does put pressure on that knight on b3 with the threat of taking that d5 bishop and then doubling down on that knight. So instead, Yasipenko goes for the trade. And now there's a bit of a threat, right? Because you're also attacking the c4 pawn as well as the knight on b3, and a mistake there, or error by black, bishop to f6. Could you go for tactics here? Knight takes pawn. Knight takes pawn.
Exactly.
Get rid of the defender, others.
I think he blundered this, and I think he realized it like in a microsecond. I mean, this is how it goes. Rook takes on c4, white plays rook takes on b3, and you cannot take on c3. It's a back rank issue. Out of the blue, suddenly Lim Lei has realistic chances to look at the body language of Yasapek. He just realized, what I'm doing here, just one small misstep. You relax a bit early. This is the price you pay, and now you have to defend for a very long time.
I love what you just said. You didn't even need to take a look at the board. Just the cameras on the two players tells the full story. The moment Liam picked up that pawn, he reached out for that bottle sip right now, and we saw Andrei Yasipenko looking away from the board, pretty much in disgust with what he's just missed right now. You pick up the knight, white's gonna pick up the knight as well, and it will be all about the king's safety. There's a back rank checkmate threat. Rook b8 just not giving enough time for black to pick up the pawn. He does create air for the black king, but this gives Liam enough time to retreat and defend the c3 pawn. It's an extra pawn in the endgame for Lei Kwang Liam.
I mean, so far, Tanya, this game is like deja vu. One of the other matchups we had, I believe it was Aravind Chittambaram against Christopher Yu. They also had pretty much the same structure earlier today. 4 pawns against 4 pawns at the king side. So Christopher was playing with a black color. He relaxed a bit early. That's it. We're heading to a draw with black. For match situation, this is great. One small misstep, and that's it. You blunder a pawn. Exactly the same thing happened here. So, of course, black is still within the drawing range. There's not so much material left on the board. The c-pawn is going nowhere, but white has essentially what we call a free roll. He can play for free this position. And look at the clock situation. The 2 minutes for black in this situation doesn't really help.
And that's the defining characteristic right now, right? That's the biggest weapon that Liam is going to use. 2 minutes for Andrei Yasipenko, a position that Liam can play for the next 100 moves risk-free. He's going to start threatening moving up the pawn on the C line, slowly, step by step, assisted with his own king, the rook and the bishop, and basically make Andrei Yasipenko sweat for the next 100 moves here. Will he have enough time? He's now under 2 minutes.
It's going to be really tough. So he had to address the c-pawn's advancement. That's why he puts the bishop on e7. He's going to meet c4 with bishop c5 check, put the pieces on active squares, probably push his pawns as far as they go. And typically the principle here for the defender is try to trade as many pawns as you can. Of course, activate the king, push maybe f5, g4, because with every pawn traded, at least according to some defensive theory, your task becomes easier. I'm pretty sure he's going to take on g4 right now. No, he doesn't. Okay.
But he will eventually, or at least he's forcing white's hand to do exactly what you mentioned, Arthur, is to force more trades on the board. I like this idea of g4 that Liam employed, fixing black's g5 pawn to a dark square, potentially making it a weakness for his own bishop eventually in the game. And Andrei Yasipenko, he can't take too much time. He needs to respond quickly. So f5, asking some questions, closer to a draw than a Liam win, but still work to be done by Andrei.
That is absolutely correct, and I think that if I play with the white color, I want to get this bishop from c5 out of the way. I want to play bishop e3, trade the bishops, push the c-pawn forward. But the problem is, bishop e3 is met by black's rook a3, and the spin is very unpleasant. And I'm pretty sure that Lim Lei right now is looking how to improve this idea. Can I play rook c3 and then bishop e3? No, he goes for it. What about rook a3 here?
Great call there, and I think he's about to play it, and he does it. He does spin that bishop, forcing the black king to fall back right now. And the point is, you can win that e3 pawn, but notice how Liam's rook is beautifully placed behind the passer. He's gonna push it up the board. He doesn't care about losing that pawn. The c pawn's ready to go up, c5, c6, c7, and hopefully become a queen soon enough.
And before capture on e3, the Vietnamese grandmaster is considering, should I include g takes on h5, possibly to put the black king a bit further away from the c-pawn. It's not an easy decision to make. This is where you have to calculate things very quickly. He does this exactly. F takes on e3 to be followed. Here the big question, can black take on e3? No, Yespenko decides not to test it.
Great call there. I think this was very important to defend that c-pawn from moving forward and not get greedy in this position. And with that decision, Andrew Yesipenko keeps things under control. And look at that, Liam is trying to blast open the position, disconnect the black pawns. Andrew Yesipenko declines that gambit right now at the center of the board. The black king active, the black rook doing a fantastic job of stopping the c5 pawn, the king about to come to e5. I think Yesipenko's done the hard job.
Yeah, it seems that black is figuring things out. King d5, the final trick for white is to play rook g1. I suppose try to target black's weaknesses at the king side. Rook h6, look at this defensive resource for Yesipenko. He doesn't really stop the c-pawn. Instead, he attacks the pawn on h3, and now he rearranges the pieces. And it's amazing that Tanya, he figured these things out on seconds. Which piece belongs where, and at the same time, make no mistakes calculating things.
And what he's figured out is that if the c-pawn moves forward, that king-pawn ending, it holds for black. He would have just simply picked it up. So with that not in the agenda, white rook starts to attack the black pawn. Black king continues to chase that white pawn. Another trade at the side of the board. It's about to be picked up right now. The black king can march forward towards that e2 pawn as well. And I just feel that Andrew Yesipenko has done a fantastic job holding this endgame. King to e4. It's coming forward to pick up the e2 pawn next.
Yeah, but now he didn't really get to eliminate the pawn on c5. It lives because then he would enter a losing pawn endgame, and the clock is ticking. A player shut down to the last 43 seconds each. This essentially might go to some flagging.
You might be right. We might not even see a draw. The players might play this on just to flag each other. And if anyone has an advantage on that, it's a few more extra seconds for Liam. And that might be the decisive factor. The position is a draw at this level for these two players. But look at that, and how much time Andrew Yesipenko just spent. He's down to 25 seconds now.
This is going to be really difficult for him to hold. I mean, white can play this position forever. Rook d3, king f3. I mean, black probably is drawing this, but you need to show very precise technique, and it's so difficult to do it having only 20 seconds on the clock.
Forever and ever he can play on, and now just 18 seconds. How many moves can you get in this much time? And look at that white rook cutting off the black king, making sure it doesn't come onto the defense. And now the white pawn starts moving forward, and Andrew Yesipenko, he is panicking.
I think he thought that he's actually losing, but this was very, very fortunate blunder that he's still safe at 10 seconds only for black. Now white is winning. Obviously, it doesn't really matter if he's winning or not. It's about the time.
He's winning on the board on the clock, and Andrew Yesipenko cannot believe it. He's down to 4 seconds. I think he's about to resign in this position. White now winning on the board as well. Lei Kwang Liam about to do it and take the lead, and there it is. Andrew Yesipenko gets flagged.
Yeah, this is what happens. So that is essentially the time control. 10 minutes with no increment. You could not... No increment. Because I'm pretty sure that Yesipenko would easily hold this endgame. For example, having 10 minutes plus 1 second per move, which is a pretty standard increment. Maybe not for this time control. But this is what really makes the Esports World Cup exciting, because there is no increment. In case you can't figure things out in a game, you can always flag your opponent.
Absolutely. I mean, flagging is not a side mission here. It's often the final boss in these games right now with the 10 plus 4 time control. You have to be as good on the board as you are with your clock management right now. And Andrew Yesipenko has to win on demand this final game of the mini matches. He goes for a very dynamic opening on this.
Yeah, so now he is, what is this? Some kind of central classical Ryan Lopez bishop c5. It's quite a rare combination that I don't immediately even recall if this is legal. Probably it is legal because it's happening on the board. But it's quite a rare combination, and most likely Limley has prepared it for exactly this encounter.
I'm actually very surprised with the way this has gone, because to me it just looks like white has such a pleasant position. Look at the space advantage at the center of the board. The white knight about to come into development. That e5 pawn will make sure that you have play and attack on the king side, potential batteries on the b1 to h7 diagonal as well. In a must-win game, it does feel that Andrew Yesipenko has reasons to be happy with all the pieces still on the board, and a pawn all the way across towards enemy lines.
Yeah, Engine doesn't really like white's last move h3, but I think from a human's perspective, it makes perfect sense. He secures his knight on f3 against any bishop slides to g4, and the knight on f3 is instrumental piece to protect the white center. White does enjoy some pawn majority at the king side, and I think you're right, Tanya. This gives him some very good practical chances to go for some king side attack, and this is precisely the reason why black plays f6 to open up the king side and make sure that white is not in time to build a very powerful battery by the light square bishop and the queen targeting the black pawn on h7.
And especially because both of black's knights are on the other flank, right? On b6 and c6, far away from defending that black king. And look at the way Andrei Yasipenko makes sure that he will have a pawn on that e5 square. He has to do everything to create as many imbalances as possible in the position. And right now he takes a pause. He doesn't automatically captures on e5. In a must-win, I would be surprised if he decides to trade more pieces by taking it with a knight. I'm expecting the pawn to move forward. It does. Bishop, a blockade, as well as defending the d5 pawn.
In terms of the opening, I think that white got exactly what he wanted. That's why I'm quite surprised by the Vietnamese Grandmaster's choice. White got exactly the kind of unbalanced position he wanted, and there you go, knight e2. I mean, I love this move, even though the evaluation bar, as usual, tends to disagree with the commentators. He just brings more pieces to the king side. This is where he's feeling the strongest. He has more pawns, he has more pieces. He's also ready to slide over the light square bishop to c2, and literally every single white piece and pawn will be looking at the black monarch.
You know, the one thing that I would be very worried about with white here, and this last move, Andrei Yasipenko, it surprises me. Is there a potential for a sacrifice on f3 right now, Arthur? Is my question. Rook takes knight was the move that I would be terrified for, but Liam disagrees. He says he wants to play safe, puts the king on the corner.
Yeah, Tanya, I would say this is the kind of move I would always recommend as a commentator, but I'm not sure I would do it as a player in a situation where I'm playing from the black's perspective and I need to make a draw. But you're totally right. I mean, this rook takes on f3, it definitely triggers some kind of pattern recognition since we are professional players, because you want to expose the white king. It's a minimal material sacrifice, but okay, this moment is gone. I'm pretty sure that Lim Le was not even seriously considering this, given the match situation, of course.
But I wonder if this will come back to haunt him, because suddenly now white's knights are in the play. You know, the bishop's lined up against the black king. There is a little bit of a discomfort situation with potential knight jumping onto g6, giving a check if it's allowed to at any moment. But Liam Le is not bothered. He pushes the d pawn, and now he wants to bring his own knight to the center of the board, trying to get pieces off the board.
You know what really puzzles me, Tanya, is that black is playing so quickly. Because he is in a really great situation in terms of the match. He just won the first game, and now he just played the opening really, really fast. I mean, he entered this rather tricky opening with almost no spent time. Also, this position where white has clearly some very good prospect for a kingside attack, and now finally he takes a pause. Could this be fatigue from the tournament? Because once again, I mean, you're battling every single game against world-class players. It's really hard.
Well, let's not forget that Liam Le is a former World Blitz champion. So him playing fast has stopped surprising me in the chess world completely, Artists. But it's not just about playing fast, right? He's also playing so incredibly good. Although I do see that the knight did jump forward, and apparently it wasn't the best move. The evaluation bar now says that Andrei Yasipenko is playing for the edge. He uses his knight to block that pawn on d4, and to follow it up, I think his ideas eventually is going to be about moving that knight from f3 and getting the queen to g4, trying to put an attack on the black king.
Oh, I really love that. That's a great idea, because there's one secret ingredient missing to white's attack. That's the queen. But first and foremost, this is where Andrei shows why he's such a world-class player. Of course, he wants to lift the knight away and then allow the queen to join the attack. But what do? Before you carry out your ideas, you remember about prophylactic chess. What is it? First, you deal about your opponent's ideas to trade off some pieces. At this tiny move, a3, it takes away the b4 square for black knight to get rid of the knight on d3, which so amazingly blocks the entire center. Such a world-class performance by Yespenko here.
Absolutely. That is a beautiful monster knight. It's not an attacking piece just yet, but it just keeps the position completely in control. And we were talking about the plan, right? The white knight has gotten out of the way. It's moved forward, clearing the path for the queen to come out into the game, asking some big questions. And my big question to you, authors, right now is, do you believe in Andrei Yesipenko's position? Do you think he makes a comeback in this match and takes it to the tie breaks, the Armageddon?
I think it looks really good. That was, of course, before I saw 93. Because I'm pretty sure that this is not the move that Andre expected at all. And continuing your question, like, obviously he was building up this king set attack, but 93, Tanya, dramatically changes things because now suddenly the situation completely changes. And the point is, if white takes this knight on e3, this knight on g5, that one of the key instrumental pieces for the attack, it's gone.
So it's just disconnecting the white bishop from defending that g5 knight. And a move out of nowhere, right? It was a bit of a thunderbolt and has to have a shock factor for sure right now. The big question here is, do you have to think about trading that knight on e3? Can you actually just continue with your plan instead? Bring that queen to h5. But I have to say that would involve a lot of calculation because it's not just the knight on g5. Black's knight is also threatening to land on c2. And look at that, he goes for it. I thought this wasn't possible. Bishop takes knight, queen takes bishop, knight c2.
You know, it's only an exchange, Tanya, but it's not our exchange, right? So we could easily sacrifice it, and I really love it because Yesipenko really has nothing to lose, and I think that he is the best hope he has for this game to be saved and so that he can stay in the match. He has to go for this attack, and the thing here is that he's about to sacrifice the exchange. Bishop takes on g5 seems to be necessary for black because the knight on g5 cannot be tolerated, and you see there's a fork on c2, but Yesipenko is ready to give up the rook because sometimes some minor pieces can be stronger than the rook, and that's why the evaluation bar says that what is even better.
Incredible stuff. And again, the speed with which Yesipenko took this decision to give up material, to go for the attack on that black king. If Liam was about to get greedy, one of Liam's best quality is that he knows when to pull the brakes, and he does exactly that. He doesn't get greedy. Instead, he wants nothing of the attack that Yesipenko was building. He offers a queen trade.
Wow. I mean, this is such a world-class move, queen e8. So I definitely would have thought that he's going to take on g5 and go for the exchange, but I think he realizes here the exchange is not so important. It's much more important the kill of white's attack, and if white doesn't have the queen, maybe there's no attack at all. And that's why for Yesipenko, the big question is, the million-dollar question essentially is, should he trade the queens or retreat? Because is queen h4, Tanya, even an opportunity because it does put the queen in the crosshairs of the blacks darks with bishop on e7.
Well, technically the $15,000 question right now for Yesipenko to keep his chances alive, Arthurs. But it is a big one indeed. So tempted to keep the queens on the board, but Black can go hunting for the exchange, and he says, you know what, I have to win. The only thing that can make that happen is keeping the queens on for the attack. So your move on the board.
There you go, queen h4. I mean, given the match situation, it makes perfect sense. If this was the very first game, I'm pretty sure that Yesipenko wouldn't really mind a queen trade. Now he has to gamble. So, how does black continue? I have a feeling that h6 is still the move here, and I'm a bit puzzled.
Không được, nó tắt tiếng rồi, tắt của cả hai bên luôn á.
Everything is under attack literally in this position.
Falling right now. White's knight pin, black's knight hanging in the position, a potential knight jumping and forking the two rooks as well. I don't see an alternative to finally picking up that knight. You move your queen away, black can then jump to c2 or at least pick up the knight anyway. I'm expecting him to finally pick up this piece on e3 with his own pawn. Pawn takes knight as Andrei Yesipenko touches the 4-minute mark.
How about f4 instead? I mean, bishop takes on g5, this would be one way to stop it. Maybe you're right, maybe it's bishop takes on e3, d takes on e3, rook e3, but this would probably cost you an exchange. And I'm thinking that if I have any chances for the attack, I have to keep the knight, and Andre does it, but the evaluation bar says, oh, this is not how you play chess.
But I love it. I love this move. And I think Andrei Yasipenko, and look at that, it wasn't an easy move to answer because he plays the most natural move Liam does, and eventually the bar does go up. But now Liam is getting greedy. He's saying, I don't see an attack. After f4, the white knight cannot jump to that square anymore and start targeting the black king. It's been taken away. So he's taken away a key square from the white knight, and now he's gone for that extra exchange, asking, where's your attack? Show me the money.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of tricks, and I love this cold-blooded move, bishop d5, because also the bishop on e4 is one of the instrumental pieces to go for the attack. Black essentially needs to trade every single attacking piece he can get. The bishop on e4, it needs to be gone. The knight on g5, traded. The bishop on d2, knight on d3 somehow need to be swept off the board because black simply has the extra exchange, and this means you want to simplify the position. Yasipenko needs to show something very quickly right now, otherwise this match is going to be over.
It's been such a controlled, cold-blooded performance by Liam after getting that material advantage. Just neutralizing White's attack piece by piece, move by move. You're saying that Yasipenko needs to do something? The one plan that comes to mind is throw the pawns at your opponent's kings. You want to go f5, you want to go f6. But is there enough time to do that? And I'm not talking about the time on the clock. Even with moves right now, it just feels like Liam will have enough resources to defend his king.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, maybe f5 is the move, but this will allow black to take on e4, take on g5, and white might be running out of material to attack. And I'm also thinking that Limle's idea here is to take on e4 and play queen g6. And I don't think that Yasipenko can allow the black queen to land on g6. So where is this move? Maybe he should take on d5 just to gain this tempo, but then what? And I feel you're right, Tanya, about this f5, but how and when? And that is the question.
Whoa!
What?
And Andrei Yasipenko just resigns. Just like that. With the clock ticking down, nothing left to fight for, nothing left to play for in this position. He sees that Liam has neutralized all the attack, and Liam takes the match to continue his run in the DreamHack Atlanta, beats Andrei Yasipenko 2-0. What a performance.
Okay, this I didn't really expect because I thought that he still researched some chances, but I think he was just really, after this painful loss in a time scramble in the first game, he was so gone. And then knight e3 was such an amazing shot by the Vietnamese Grandmaster. So congratulations to Limle. And for Yasipenko, I mean, he's been playing a great tournament. He has made it to the Esports World Cup. So both of these players are winners, essentially.
I'll give you my hot take on this. I believe that Arthurs, if the Esports World Cup qualification was still on the line, there was no way that Yasipenko would have resigned in this moment. But knowing that he's done the hard work, knowing that this position, you're basically hoping and praying for a miracle right now, you just feel like, I've done what I came for. Liam deserves this. He's done it. I'm done with my day. This is my sign-off if I'm Andrei Yasipenko.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, probably. But, okay. Of course, as you can see, the players are in good spirits. They're discussing what happened before. This is really amazing to see that they are rivalries over the board, but off the board, they're always professionals, colleagues, they're chit-chatting, and it's really amazing to see that even after some painful losses, they find the time to joke a bit and being gentlemen of the game.
And it feels like they're discussing about the arena, the headphones, at least that what feels like with the action, and something that perhaps Andrei Yasipenko missed because he was slightly distracted, because let's remind everyone, this is not your traditional chess stage. It's still the game with 64 squares, but in a brand new arena. This is where chess meets esports. There are other games happening. There are cosplayers there. It's the lights. It's the drama. It's the fans cheering. And under all of that, the players have to keep their focus. But amazing to see both these players in good mood. And they've earned it, right, Arthurs? Because the big battle has been won by both of them today.
Absolutely. They have earned it. And once again, congratulations to Limle for winning the match and advancing further. But we have definitely more matches coming. So Question is, what's next coming? Because we have these two brackets. We have the winners bracket, we have the losers bracket, and at the end of the day, there's of course going to be the grand finale when the two brackets are going to collide. So this is what we're seeing right now.
Absolutely. This is DreamHack Atlanta Road to the Esports World Cup. And we've just had Liam Lay take down Andrei Yasipenko. Next up, you asked the question. Let's tell everyone. It is going to be Liam Lay taking on Alexis Serrana, who went down to Arvind Chidambaram in our upper bracket in the winners final right there. Arvind Chidambaram taking it to the Armageddon and then defeating Serrana, pushing him down to the elimination bracket. And that's the big one. And guess what? Authors, whoever wins this gets into the grand final. That's the player that Arvind Chidambaram is waiting for.
All right, so I suppose the games are about to start very soon. It's been a very long day for all the players. But what will be, Danny, your prediction? What's the favorite of this matchup? Your hot take?
I will say one thing, that Serrana has had a fantastic run today, as has Liam. Both players showing incredible form. I'm looking at their styles, I'm thinking about it. Both players incredibly universal in my viewpoint, Authors, but Serrana the Piranha, as he's called, he's always razor sharp, looking for those incredible form. I'm looking at their styles, I'm thinking about it. Both players incredibly universal in my viewpoint, Authors, but Serrana the Piranha, as he's called, he's always razor sharp, looking for those moments to make positions complicated. Meanwhile, Liam, a more controlled player, a player who likes those positional strategic fights. And I wonder, in a 10+0, I'll go with 51-49 to Alexis Serrana. What about you?
That's a very good call. It's really hard to tell, but I'm very impressed the way Liam Lay has handled his last couple of matches. We didn't really get to see Serrana's match against Chidambaram, which happened off screen because we're focusing on the qualification for the Esports World Cup. I would say that a small favorite, I'm afraid to name a number, maybe, okay, fine, 55 against 45. The Vietnamese Grandmaster is a small favorite in my eyes, but ultimately these are very equal opponents.
I love it, Arthur, that you and I are both on sort of almost the same side, but yet different. So maybe chat can tell us, what do they think? Who plays Arvind Chidambaram in the grand final? Will it be Liam Lay or will it be Serrana the Piranha? That's the big one coming up. Of course, the format remains the same. It will be a best of 2, 10+0, no increment on the clock right there. It's going to be a fascinating battle. And I wonder if this goes to the Armageddon. I did keep my eye out in the match between Serrana and Arvind Chidambaram. It was an absolute epic fight. Arthurs went down to the wire, eventually decided in that Armageddon. And you know what? I'd love to see this also play out till the end.
Absolutely. I mean, so far, pretty much most of the matches until the qualification to the Esports World Cup, they were decided in the Armageddon. This once again proves that the stakes were the highest, and everybody's so focused and tuned in. And now that they have qualified for the Esports World Cup, the concentration has gone down a bit. But again, there's more prize money to be thought of. And I have a feeling, to be honest, Tanya, that we might see more Armageddon. Or maybe I would say I'm wishing it's happening, because it's really a treat for us, for commentators, and also for the fans.
Well, from the player side, be careful what you wish for, because they've had such a long day of chess. And I wonder how much endurance and fatigue will play out as well at this point of the tournament. But there's also this adrenaline, right, running through the players at this moment, because they know the grand finals is just one step away.
Yeah. So I can only imagine how it feels. And we're discussing this with Anna earlier today, that maybe next year I should book myself the ticket to the DreamHack and try to participate myself in the event. And this is also an invitation to all the viewers who are watching this. This is still quite a new thing for chess. We're only the second year in esports, part of the Esports World Cup qualifier. Last year, as you already know, this was debut for chess. Magnus Carlsen won the inaugural event, and players are still only figuring things out, that this is where chess belongs. And I would love to see this, to be honest, next year on site. Follow the action, because there's so much action happening at the same time. There's the casual fans, there's the gamers, there's the serious esports professionals who are making living from playing games. And being myself as a former gamer, like not at the very competitive level, I can relate to this. It feels really special to be in that atmosphere where all of the participants, everyone share the same passion for gaming.
It is absolutely fantastic, right? It's just evolving into an esport. And artists, I was in Riyadh in 2025 for the Esports World Cup, and I will tell you, chess didn't just belong there, it owned the stage.